This study that we did this year that combined a variety of different things, we really looked at whether kids do eat a little bit more if they are allowed to play first and then come in and have lunch, rather than the reverse of eat first, play later. And it combined our healthy foods ideas for our school, where we wanted to know whether the kids really were eating more food if we allowed them to play first and work up an appetite.
We decided we wanted to evaluate a school that we had that was using recess before lunch against one of our similar schools as a control that is doing it the traditional way. So we found the 2 schools that had agreed to participate and decided that the 3 areas we wanted to look at was plate waste, and specifically fruit and vegetable and milk intake. Then we also wanted to look at nurse visits after lunch to see if it was having any impact on that. And then the last piece was to evaluate classroom behavior right after lunch. And we chose to use a modified version of a tool that we currently use to evaluate classrooms, which is called a classroom walkthrough.
One big one. Okay.
To do this plate waste study, it was actually kind of fun. We chose a typical week during the calendar that did not have any holidays on it, because during holidays classrooms may have parties and the kids would be eating at the parties, and then it would impact the results that we find in the garbage study. So we picked a week in February and we used 2 schools that were very similar in size, in socioeconomics, and we set up a team of people at each school to collect the garbage. We had to invest in a few extra garbage cans and a nice scale that we can place garbage cans on and lock in so we can get our weights. And we set up a team of students and staff at each school. One person was on the milk collection, one person was on the vegetable, one person was on the fruit, and one person was on overall garbage, and one person was on paper goods. And we separated the garbage, and we didn't tell the students. We didn't want to tell the students because we didn't want that to blur the study. And we collected the trash at both schools and then weighed it and then compared the data.
The boys and girls just eat so much better. They like to sit and eat. And we've fostered that environment by reminding them that the cafeteria is an eating place. And you see them sit and relax. They do whisper talk. The cafeteria is a pretty quiet place because they're tired and they're ready to eat. And so we found just a generally more relaxed environment, and then that carries over into the classroom.
We started before the meal service. We arrived at the school several hours early and weighed the empty pans, and then we weighed all of the food that was prepared for the meal. So we knew what the starting weight of all the food was, of each component of the meal. And we put it on a nice chart so we could easily keep track. Then we separated the trash and weighed each component of the trash. And then at the end of the meal, after everybody left and it calmed down, we weighed the leftovers. And there weren't too many leftovers, but we weighed them. And then we took the starting weight, subtracted the leftovers, and we knew exactly what was served to the entire student body. Then we took that figure and subtracted the trash, and we knew the difference was what went into the kids, what went into the bellies of the kids.
What we had anticipated we would see was the things that we had described to us by the principal at Valley View, which would be a decrease in plate waste or an increase in food consumption by the students. We hope to see a decrease in nurse visits and an increase of time on task by the students.
And we found actually really dramatic results. We were happy to see that the kids were eating a lot more food, especially in the foods that we were concentrating on, the foods that kids don't get enough of. And we know that kids that are well nourished will do better in the classroom. That's our main motivation.
Well, one of the things we wanted to look at with this study was to see whether or not there was a difference in the number of visits that were made to the nurse's office after lunch at both our control and our intervention school for tummy aches after eating. And that's kind of the typical school nurse thing after lunch, is that you get the kids coming in and they've eaten, and we thought we would see potentially a change. We did not, in the week that we looked at, find that change. And now looking back, as I've gotten the data for the same month, we had more nurse visits in general for that month than what we had any other month during the year, due to a lot of other illness issues. So while we didn't find what we thought we were going to find when we started out, we may want to go back and take a look at a broader spectrum of time from these schools, knowing what else was going on with kids during the particular month that we studied.
About time on task, meaning did we gain more instructional time, after recess? And what we found is that when we bring the kids in from their lunch time, within 1 to 3 minutes they are on task and busy working in their classroom, and of course not asking to leave to use the bathroom or still scuffling over things they were fussing at each other about at recess. But we found that they did settle in between 1 and 3 minutes, which is excellent and as good a transition as any other during the day.
As the food service director, we had to look at what kind of impacts this change might have on us, and we had 2 areas of concern. Number 1 was what would happen food-wise, and we are using probably a slightly larger amount of food at the schools because we do have offer versus serve. But that means more of the kids are taking those fruits and vegetables. So that one was not a major concern. The other was scheduling, because the kids are going to recess first. It does delay the starting time for all the lunches and therefore the ending time by about 15 minutes. But we worked with the managers and worked out schedules so that we actually have no more additional labor cost.
One of the things we had to work through is if they're going to play first and then come in and eat, how are they going to wash their hands? Because we all know what they've been doing outside, and it usually had to do with dirt or touching each other or grass or lizards for all we know. But what we did is we worked with Springtime Janitorial, who supplies our janitorial supplies, and got a couple additional of the pump soap dispensers. We have it mounted on a wall in the cafeteria, one low and one high, and then it's a liquid hand sanitizer that would remind you of Purell or something like that. It's kind of that dishwashing liquid kind of consistency. The kids walk in, they go by, get 1 squirt, and then work their hands on the way to line. In the full length of the cafeteria, it's either evaporated or they've wiped it on their jeans, and then their hands are clean. And it's not been really cheap, but when you look at the amount of paper towel we'd probably go through and then compare that to the gain and the instruction and the other things, it's an expense well spent.
We watch kids in a traditional setting rushing to get outside. It's beautiful weather, they want to get out and play, and they are eating sometimes on the way to the trash can. They are throwing out whole portions of food just because they want to rush, because when they're done they can get outside and play. This reversal of the schedule actually changes all that, because the kids are coming back from recess and it's over, and now is time to eat. And once they're in to eat, they have to sit in the cafeteria whether they're eating or not. So they will most likely eat more because they have the time. And they have more time to eat. They're calmer, they're more relaxed. We have turned into a society of wolfing. We wolf our food, we inhale our food, and then we rush off on our busy days. And we don't want to foster that eating habit. We want kids to learn to eat slowly until they're full. I mean, ideally, to prevent obesity, we teach everybody to eat until the point of satiety, eat until fullness. And this is one way to do that. The kids are calm, they have a bunch of times that they're going to sit there and they just eat. We're not telling them what to do, we're not giving them the carrot of going outside after they're finished. They eat until they're full, and we prove that they eat more.
Anytime someone says, well, we ought to just go back, or if someone says something about playing first, I guard it like a bear, because the benefits I see to the students far outweigh tradition or what used to be. And I guard it very carefully. I believe that it's probably it's funny how the little things have huge results sometimes. Something as simple as doing recess before lunch has impacted my school very, very positively.